Welcome to another goddamn horror podcast. I am Jonas. We are here with a special bonus episode for you guys with Benjamin Byron Davis. How you doing, man?
Jonas, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you for coming on, man. We are talking today about your newest movie, Ice Cream Man. I watched it, and this is, I think, what the best way for me to explain it is this is a horror movie fan's horror movie. Like, this is gory. It's everything that the trailer said that it was going to be and more. And I've looked at your filmography. I've seen a lot of the stuff that you've done. What drew you to this project? Because this project is insane in the best way.
It is insane in the best way. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. It is what drew me to it. Obviously, is Eli himself. This is to when you're working with Eli, beyond his talent, is also he is a walking encyclopedia of the history of horror cinema. So you know that you're participating in the kind of generational conversation of horror that Eli understands so well. So I jump at the chance to work with that madman any time I can.
I love it. So have you been a horror fan throughout your career in general?
Yeah, I would say so. I just in movies in general, but horror for sure. I like being scared. I think I did in my teens. It was mostly on VHS. I saw a lot of the classics, The Exorcist, of course, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and
Oh yeah.
and there were films even then when you're a kid, like I Spit on Your Grave, or that are like spoken about in hushed tones, and or you're kind of afraid to even look at the box of it. And I think the hope in the back of my head is that maybe with Ice Cream Man, I get to be a part of one of those, like a bit of a rite of passage for a scared young group of kids at a sleepover on a Saturday night. That would be pretty spectacular to be a part of.
It's like I'm a physical media junkie, so like I'm the person like I say that it's a concerning amount of physical media that I have in my shelves. I have like legitimately, I think I'm over 1,000 Blu-rays now of just horror. And so like I've been somebody who's been a fan of it for a very, very long time. And what you say about The Exorcist and what you say about these older films that were on the video store shelves, I think Ice Cream Man is going to be one of those movies that comes into that realm of like cult following, because when you take a movie, somebody like Eli, obviously he's got a reputation. He's got a reputation of doing stuff that's ultra violent, that's, over the top, pushes the line, so to speak. And I think one of the things that's most fucked up and jarring about Ice Cream Man is that it is gory, it is violent, it is all those things that the trailer tells you, but there's also this likability to it that is like it's an additional jarring aspect to it where you're like, fuck, dude, like it's really gross, but also at the same time, like I can't stop watching.
It is the thing that I didn't quite understand when I was reading the script how well it was going to convey in the finished product was just how much fun this movie is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun to watch, and my scene partners are these wonderful young performers, Kiori and Shiloh and Charlie, who are kind of the anchors of the story, and they carry this film.
Hmm.
It is the one thing I have yet to do, Jonas, and I don't know if you have, but so I've seen the screener of it, but I haven't seen it with an audience yet, and I'm very, very excited to see what a crowd does to this film.
I think this is definitely going to be a crowd favorite. I think it's going to be one of those ones that's going to have a whole lot of like those fucked up, like, oh my God moments that happen. And I think like this is also a movie that sometimes you look at something like the trailer and you think maybe the trailer gives away too much. And I think that is something that is kind of a worry about media now. That you'll see a trailer and you're like, well, shit, I've seen the whole movie. This one, I was worried about that, but then as soon as I saw the movie, I'm like, oh, no, no. They showed you just enough to whet your appetite and to give you that false sense of like security, I think, because it goes way farther than the trailer, even says. So I think we're going to be good there. But that was a question I had for you with your scene partners. Like you are working with a lot of children in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think horror is one of those things also, like sometimes they shy away from like violence against children. They shy away from having children be a part of the really dark, messed up parts of it. Whereas this, that is absolutely not the case. Like this is full, the children are one of the focal centerpieces of it. How was it working with so many child actors?
Well, I think that that's certainly a thing that Eli and Noah's script is after is sort of breaking these taboos or employing these taboos of these children in jeopardy, but also these children as the monster in some sense of the word. But in terms of working with them, they were totally professional, totally prepared, really accessible as scene partners. And I just the famous adage in working on cameras: don't work with animals and don't work with children. And I've worked with both. And the animals is can be a challenge from a lot of different directions. But these young actors, Kiori and Shiloh and Charlie, they were just amazing to work alongside, and they could not have been uh, more professional. And I've got, if this is the road they intend to walk, I've got very high hopes for all of their futures.
I absolutely love that. And you're somebody who has a hell of a career. Like you've done a lot of stuff. You've done a lot of things, everything from voice acting to live action acting to like different genres. So you've worked with a lot of different people. And do you see any differences like with on this film, like when the kids are they're involved with the violent stuff, they're involved with the crazy gags and everything. Like what was that experience like seeing these children react to these things?
Well, thanks for saying that. I've been really, really lucky in my career. I hope that continues, but it has been a blast so far. I did not really get to intersect with a lot of the gore. Uh, I'm mostly in the freezer, but I remember being a kid and being delighted by it, and the stories that Eli was telling about these kids on the day. As sort of frightening and horrific as this imagery is, the kids, as I understand it, were having a blast playing with all of this, goo and gore and all this stuff. And when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Rick Baker and
Mm,
the makeup that he did. The
it's a legend.
the legend. He was a real
Yeah.
hero of mine. And there was a magazine called Cinefex, and it had a whole issue about him and the makeup he'd done for Werewolf in London and uh, Greystoke, the apes that he made, and I think it's when you're caught up in the film, you get caught up in the reality of all of it or the unreality of all of it. But on the day in the making of it, it's really just like you're a kid in a candy store. It's all just so fun. And I think what and I wonder if you'll agree, Jonas, but I think one of the things about this film is that it can get so engaging and so funny and so kind of exciting and almost joyful that then you get knocked over the back of the head and are reminded, no, 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 this is not a safe place. This is not a safe world.
Not
And
even a little bit.
that tone, that back and forth between this really rich and kind of bright humor and this really dark and scary stuff is one of, I think, the real pleasures of this film.
Yeah, I love it. So this is the last question I have for you because we have a limited amount of time with you. When you read the script, and you saw that your part in this, it on the surface seems like it's going to be a small part, but without getting into any spoilers or anything, it's actually a small amount of screen time with a lot of impact. Did you know that going into it when you read the script, or like was that something that you saw like in the final product?
Well, if I have a biography, I think it might be. I hope it'd be a small amount of screen time with a great amount of impact. When I read it, this is a familiar kind of a space to inhabit in a horror film. The keeper of the lore, right? The
Sure.
sort of the guy who knows why all of this is happening to us. Loomis in the Halloween films, for example. But always there's sort of some figure that has it. So I recognize the import of the role, and I also recognize I'm it's a script that's dealing with iconography, and it's dealing with sort of the trusted figures of childhood. So I understood that as well. I and then the reading what seemed like pretty straight exposition is I think it's about 10 pages of it,
Yeah.
but seeing how much fun it really is, and there's some great comedy embedded within this. So I just figured it was an engaging challenge, and I was really delighted. But the long and short of it is, if Eli Roth calls and there's something that he wants me to help him get done, I'm going to help him get it done.
I love it. Well, you are fantastic, Benjamin. I appreciate you so much for coming on and letting me chat with you here. And I'm sure that our paths will cross again because you are definitely a horror fan's horror fan. So
Hey,
I appreciate you, and I can't wait for people to see the movie coming out August 7th. See it with an audience, see it in the theater, and pack the place out because this is going to be one that is definitely made for the theaters.
thank you, Jonas. I agree. I cannot wait for folks to see it.
Absolutely. Have a great one, Benjamin. Thank you so much. And everybody else, start some fires and break some glass. All right.
That